Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Thank you. Good morning, all. First of all, thanks for allowing me to do it virtually. It's a big advantage of technology and flexibility that it offers. So what I'll do is I'll share my screen and then. Okay, good. So look, I want to start with first acknowledging how great is it, or how impactful is it to be part of Pfizer. If I look at some of the numbers from 2021, Pfizer manufactured roughly 38 billion doses across the globe, and we touched roughly 1.4 billion lives, and all of that actually gets manufactured at 35 plus different locations at different geographies, and 400 plus contract manufacturing organizations, right? So it's a huge operations, complex operation, and that's where multiple groups, teams play a big role in enabling that. It starts right from identifying patient needs, to discovery, to clinical trials, to uh, manufacturing, to supply, and to reaching the last mile. And I belong to a function called manufacturing intelligence. It's an enabling function which supports manufacturing sites with data science, AI, and analytics services. Uh, and my topic of discussion, or what I want to share today, is how even you know historically companies which were looked at conventional companies are also becoming the tech companies, not entirely, but certain fraction of the talent, certain fraction of such companies is getting into a lot of digital and advanced analytics space. And that's what I want to give a glimpse about that to the new talent, and to everyone who is doing research, and their research is basically helping us in achieving that. Now, I'll have a few points on how the intelligence or analytics is evolving. I would put a contrasting example with the automotive industry. I'll share few advancements. It's not a comprehensive. These are just a few which I picked up basis the impact that they have created in the manufacturing space, and then how we look at future, with all of these advancements happening. Um, Now, if we look at pharmaceutical manufacturing and then put it on a timeline over a period of last 50 years, what we observe is uh, there were times when a lot of paper-based records used to happen, and then SAP, ERP systems, different kind of LIMS or laboratory information management system, etc., came up. That led to digitization in the pharmaceutical industry, but that also led to creation of various silos. All of these databases were not very well connected, and then over a period of time they also got connected with the advancements in big data, data lakes, etc. And eventually what we're looking at is a stage where all of this connected data can leverage and be more predictive in nature, and then eventually with advanced process control and advanced control system, these plants become the adaptive plant. Now if we look at today, uh, most of the large pharmaceutical company across the globe are in either digital silos or in connected plant stage. Uh, the relevance of manufacturing intelligence is basically to move us from that connected plant stage to predictive and adaptive plant. Now, if I put it in contrast with the automotive setup, I mean, the things have changed drastically over last 50 years. If you think about functionalities like cruise control in your car, it just makes your life simple when you're on a highway. If you think about even more latest technologies from Teslas and others with driverless driving, advanced real-time data streaming, which is getting leveraged there, image analytics, a lot of high computing processing happening at the back end. That all has already happened. It's there out there in the market. Uh, Another example, if you think about how we listen to songs today, uh, I just tell Alexa or my Google Home, play a particular song, and then the subsequent series of songs are actually picked up by an algorithm. So it has reached our home, right? And that's where I think there's no reason for pharma as well to stay behind in that. And then these predictive algorithms and these adaptive capabilities are something that we are aspiring to build over a period of time. Now, as I said, I'll touch upon some of the key advancements, and I would give a disclaimer: these are not the only key advancements. These are just the few. And I begin with the advancement in the sensor technology. Uh, we'll come to the details later, and then I will also touch upon physics-based or science-based machine learning. I heard some of the talks already in that area. Great presentations from others. And then adoption of cloud, which is making deep learning easy. I think we have many algorithms, many ways of solving complex problem, but when it comes to deploying them at a manufacturing site or in a real world, computation becomes a little tricky to manage. And I'll share an example how that can be leveraged with cloud computation. And then advancements in the natural language processing, and then the rise of robotics and cobotics. And the key intent of highlighting these is to give a glimpse to the newer talent, to the folks who will be getting graduated soon from their PhDs or masters, is that uh, don't just look at pharmaceutical as a core pharmaceutical company. It's getting ahead in the tech or the digital side as well, right? So the first one, sensor technology. I'm sure everyone is familiar with the maturity that's taking place in the sensors world. We started with conventional sensors for measuring temperature, flow rates, pH, etc., etc. Then the smart sensors started coming in the market, which had bit of computing power as well, which had communication or Wi-Fi inabilities as well, which could transmit data remotely. And then we also had process analytical technology sensor, which generates multivariate data. And then it's something which can be used for inline measurements as well. Big enabler in the real-time release of the product. And then the next stage, which has come up recently, is soft sensors. Now, when I move from left to right, it's basically the the maturity of the technology from matured to the emerging technology. But you will also notice that the number of solutions deployed in the soft sensor or PAT are relatively lesser compared to in the conventional or the smart sensor area. So that becomes an unmet or unfulfilled, let's say, gap, which still has a lot of potential, and we are trying to fulfill with that. Uh, Soft sensor is kind of just a piece of software or code which can be written basis some of the first principle thermodynamic, heat dynamics, and mass transfer principles, and then can also be combined with data driven models. And then these pieces of software actually can replace really the use of a soft sensor. And I want to one example that I want to highlight is recently one big study on the loss and drying soft sensor, which was recognized in Ireland innovation committee, was that when typically you measure loss and drying, it's a process where you take a sample out of your batch and then measure it offline. What we as a team tried to do was we use these offline values, then we use the mass transfer, heat transfer principle, created the piece of software which can in real time tell us how the loss and drying is varying over a period of time. So that just eliminates the need of a sensor which could have used for measuring loss and drying. Similarly, there are a few more applications which industry is adopting. Now, what it does is it helps in reducing the cycle time because you know in real time what's the extent of, let's say, drying over a period of time, right? So conventionally the process is used to be you put a batch for drying and you wait for 12 hours and then you stop it. Now you have direct visibility, and we have been able to save roughly 10 to 20% time depending on the product or the scenario is in terms of reducing the cycle time. It of course reduces the manual step because you no longer have to do that sampling and then testing it in the lab once the software is validated well. And then the big part which is very relevant in a corporate setup is it replicatable or not? Is it something one of its kind of a case, or is it something which has which can be applied other? And it's a low cost replication, and we have seen that the same piece of software with some alteration with a minimal cost can actually be leveraged 100 times in other process steps as well. So that's a brief on the soft sensor technology helping us big time. Now the second one is want to highlight this animation on the left, and three things there. The first one is one of, let's say, a machine learning based algorithm predicting a pattern over a period of time and with certain data set. And what we eventually realize is that prediction fail, as if the data set is less, or you're looking at a longer horizon. Now, the second image or animation talks about the science or the physics-based model where there is an elastic and then weight is connected, and then that how the physics of this movement takes place. So that gives a direction. So if we try and combine both these principles, there is a physics informed methodology, and then there is also data informed data driven machine learning model which gives potency to this model, and you combine both of them and you see the third animation where your predictions become highly accurate even with the lesser data. And we tried and leveraged that in one of our biological process where we used a data driven model, and then we also leveraged some of the mechanistic model for cell growth, glucose consumption, lactate formation, etc., and optimized that. What it gave us was some of the outcomes in terms of cell density, product titer, glucose concentration. And when we compared them against the offline values, these are very solid predictions. Now what that again gives us is a huge benefit on the cost, that you don't have to put specific sensors. Plus it also saves us time because you don't have to do that analysis in the lab. So again, a big advantage. And I saw some of the sessions on physics informed machine learning methods, and acknowledge that your research is actually playing a big role and helping out in the industry. Now, the another advancements that I also want to talk about is in the natural language processing. Text data is a part and parcel of a pharmaceutical record capturing. And I want to highlight one example. We call it as quality events. Now, a quality event is a record which someone in the quality organization, they open it when they observe that a product has deviated from the specifications, which may lead to problems and acceptance in the market, right? Now, depending on the severity, it's not that it always leads to problems in the market, but depending on the severity, what happens is these quality events gets opened, and a quality analyst uh, marks, some comments, and these comments are written in text, and they can have all kind of text with all kind of intent. uh, and what eventually happens is, if some of the quality events are critical, it can also lead to inventory disposal. So we'll have to dispose that inventory, which is a loss of opportunity, which is a cost to the organization. And while this whole process happens, millions of text data points are captured. Now, the example that I'm highlighting, the quality event example, we have historically GBs of data which we leveraged for it. Uh, it was combined with the inventory planning data as well. So the application of data engineering comes into picture. Once these different data sets were merged, a subset of it was taken, which was relevant for the analysis, and then natural language processing algorithms were uh, developed and tested and eventually deployed. What it does is, in a fraction of seconds, it determines the root cause of a problem. It simplifies basically the root cause of it. The time that somebody has to review a record or a text comment, that goes significantly down. What it also does is, basis historical information, it can prescribe potential corrective actions and preventive actions, basis the occurrence of the same thing at similar thing in any other site. It also creates an on-demand dashboard, which makes it very simple for quality analysts to just drill down deep, drag and drop, take screenshots, create reports, and that all helps in managing the future occurrences of a certain quality events. The aspiration is, whatever number we have of quality events today, it goes down over a period of time, and it goes down with speed. And because that speed is what makes us go more efficiently and serve the patient that we typically serve. Now, the fourth advancement that I want to talk about is the adoption of cloud. Now, I'm sure there are a lot of examples floating around on the deep learning, image analytics space, and some of the ones that I'm highlighting here is an example where we are able to detect or classify the defects in a tablet as it is coming out from the tablet compressor, right? So it's a model which is generic enough that it can detect different kind of defects. So it can be a defect on the edge, it can be a texture based defect, it can be a geometry based defect, it can be coloration based defect, right? So multiple defects being analyzed, it's that generic. Now the problem is, if you bring in so much genericity in an algorithm or in a program, the processing speed goes down, and that's where cloud is helping us in enabling that. Now for a program like this, if you really want to deploy it on a manufacturing line, you need to aim a processing speed of somewhere around less than 100 milliseconds, and achieving that is not easy when you want to go with a generic model. And that's where, as a company, we've invested significantly in the cloud platforms which are enabling us. Another example of a syringe where it's important to differentiate between, let's say, just a scratch on the surface versus a crack, uh, a real defect versus some of the bubbles which might be there inside. So all of these again adds complexity to the algorithm that we develop, and that sometimes leads to false reject. And when you reject something for false reason, that again becomes a cost. And I can tell you these costs are in million, if even if we raise, improve our false rejects just by 1%. So again, huge cost saving, or at least the problem which is highly impactful. And as I said, technology is enabling us, on the cloud front, in solving that. The fifth one, the rise of robotics. and cobotics. Cobotics is where both human and robot work together, as a helping hand to each other. It's getting adopted at multiple sites. The range of application is wide. We have been able to look at cases right from automating the inspection, which could be a manual inspection versus a robotic inspection. It could be a case of dispensing where certain weighing and measurements are done by robot, and then they are dispensed for the rest of the process of the manufacturing. It could be in the area of pick and place, where pallets, the heavy pallets and the vials, which are highly fragile, can be, all of that can be done in a very, very nice fashion, in a very safe fashion. And then also in the area of safety and waste disposal, safety, in terms of sensing, at as a sensory organ as well. And then waste disposal, where it could be a harmful waste, which may not be very practical for a human to indulge in that. So all of these are getting embedded into the pharmaceutical system as well, into the pharmaceutical world as well. Now, it's not that we have done that all across. It's that some sites are more matured, some places are relatively early in their stage of adopting these. And eventually, with all of that, uh, how we see, how we look at the future is eventually two things. Uh, you know, all being said, reaching more patients, and then also reaching them faster, which is with a shorter cycle time. These are the key objectives, key benefits that we're looking at. And how we are seeing it evolving over a period of time is the real-time intelligent data analytics. And with the physics-based learning, with the soft sensor, with the pet sensors, all of this is getting enabled, and it's helping in the cycle time reduction as well. Uh, and then with the cloud computation, with computer vision, and the deep learning processes as well, and with the advanced process control, all of this can actually help us minimize even more defects with AI coming into the picture. And then eventually what we also see is that it will enable the workforce with the technology. If you look at use cases like NLP or automated inspections with robots, or with computer vision, uh, your workforce will have more time to do more scientific, more beneficial work. And then this will lead to even the talent attraction as well, right? I mean, the happier workforce always brings in better talent and delivers better, in any organization. So that's how we are envisioning, and that's how we are shaping. And as I said, these are not uh, the all examples, and these are very broad because, for the sensitive information point of view, cannot really put too much information. But that's how we are shaping the future of pharmaceutical manufacturing at Pfizer. Thank you. And I hope I did justice with the time, and I'm open for any thoughts, any questions that we may have from the audience.
Thank you, Pratyush. We have time for a few questions. Wait, we do have.
I see Gurkhan hand rise.
Oh, there's a
Yes,
question.
If
that's
I'm
right.
pronouncing that correct, I'm sorry. If
Perfect, correct.
Okay, great.
Very
Nice
good
meeting
morning from Copenhagen, and thank you for setting the stage very nicely for the plenary session here. A wonderful work, and great to see the vision and the activities there in the pharmaceutical supply chain. You have presented a very nice application of this scientific ML, if you will, or physics-based machine learning. And we are aligned here, and you have demonstrated its potential as a soft sensor. I was just hoping to kind of touch upon this case you have presented there. And I have seen that there were three, let's say, plots you've shown. One of them about the viable density, and I very much agree with you. It is especially in bio-based manufacturing, right? The biomass cell density to be able to follow it is akin to following the the catalyst, let's say, activity in a way.
Right.
Was there was this the aim? Like, was it offline measure this variable density in the cells, and is it because there is challenges in online measuring, let's say, with a sensor?
So look, I think there were multiple objectives in that
Okay.
exercise. We also wanted to measure titer of the
Oh,
product.
okay.
That's not easy to measure with the sensors. And then also look at the profile of other metabolites over a period of time. You can't
Okay.
measure all of those. Viable density, cell density was one of the easy thing, because you can measure that online, right? It gives you that feeling that your model is actually working well or it's not working well. Does it need more tuning? Does it need a different approach? So that's where we included multiple target variables as well to develop that sense whether the approach that we're using is viable or not.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for the question, and you have a good day ahead. Looking forward to your presentation. Really.
Thanks, Priyank, for this very interesting presentation. So my question was kind of in the sense. So it was in the context of the difference between or the unique regulatory constraints or concerns or requirements that come in the pharma domain. So it's easy to see a Zomato or a Amazon using AI technology, even if they get it wrong a couple of times, it's okay. They can improve it over time. All it leads to maybe is somewhat degraded customer performance or some economic impact. Obviously, the pharma industry is held to a much higher standard, especially when you talk about manufacturing. Then making sure that every batch is done right is, I think, is kind of a given. So, so can you comment on how deployment of AI in real manufacturing is the regulatory requirements, do they play a role at all?
They do definitely. In fact, explainability of the model is one of the key criteria for us to assess whether we want to really deploy it or not, right? So in a manufacturing operation, certain steps are GMP compliant, where you need to go through all that regulatory approvals, and that's where we make sure whatever model we have, we are able to explain that. If we are not able to explain that, we don't do that. Even in the image analytics, we have used deep learning, but the ones that we really put for regulatory, or let's say consider for GMP application, are the most simplified models where we know why a model is performing that way. Otherwise, we don't really use for deployment. So it's absolute mandatory that we validate these models. We understand if a particular variable changes, what's the impact on the outcome, so that probability is under control.
Thank you, Priyanshu, for a nice talk. So I have a quick question regarding the case study which you showed in the ML plus mechanistic model. So did you study the uncertainties in the model parameters and how does it affect the outcomes, and then its combination with the AI? Because given that it's again a stricter, in sense of regulations, so these uncertainties will play a major role, right? How do you do that?
They do play a role. I may not be able to comment on that. There is a different team, or there are folks in my team who are much more expert into that. But by the time we'll reach the deployment, of course, those will be considered.
We'll thank Priyank once again.
Great, thank you for the opportunity, and good day to all.